Today's story is not about abandonment, it's about boundaries, the kind you set when no one else will. When a woman's sister walked out and left her newborn behind, the entire family looked at her like she was the obvious solution. But she wasn't the mother. She never asked to be. And when she said no, the people who should have supported her turned into strangers. This is the story of what happens when love is used as a leash, and what it cost to cut yourself free.
They left a baby at my doorstep and expected me to become his mother. I said no, and everything fell apart. I know how this is going to sound. Cold, harsh. Like I abandoned a baby who had no one else. But before you decide I am the villain, let me tell you the whole story. My name is Lauren, I am 34, and I have spent my entire life being the responsible one. I have a good job in finance, I live alone in a small condo I paid off early, I have no kids, no criminal record, no chaos. My younger sister Kayla is the opposite. She is 26, unpredictable, and has burned every bridge she has ever touched. She dropped out of college, bounced from job to job, dated some of the worst people I have ever met, and somehow always managed to have my mother in her corner, no matter how much destruction she left behind. I stopped trying to understand it a long time ago. Ever since we were teenagers, I have been the backup parent. When Kayla got suspended in school, I was the one who picked her up. When she stole money from our mom's purse, I was the one who covered it. When she crashed her first car, I was the one who took on a second job to help fix it. My mom always said the same thing. She is just lost. Be patient. She needs you. I spent years doing what I was told, putting out fires, holding my tongue, showing up, and I was tired. Almost 2 years ago, Kayla got pregnant. No one was surprised. The father was some guy she had been seeing for 2 months, in and out of rehab, no job, already had a kid with someone else. She swore he would change. This time it was different. By the 3rd trimester he was gone, vanished, blocked her number. I remember sitting across from my mom in her kitchen saying, I am not getting involved, I made it clear. I said I would not be a babysitter, I would not be a second mom, and I would not let her child become my responsibility just because she could not get her life together. My mom nodded. She said of course not. She said she understood. But something in her eyes told me she was already planning around me. The baby came in early spring, a little boy. He was beautiful. And I did feel something the first time I held him. Not a maternal pull, but a sense of grief. Because I knew what was coming. Kayla was not ready. The first few weeks were normal. Then the favors started. Can you stop by with some formula? Can you hold him while I take a nap? Can you stay the night? I am feeling overwhelmed. I helped. But I was careful. I kept my distance. I reminded my mom and Kayla both that I had my own life. But the requests kept coming. More frequent. More intense. One Friday night, Kayla dropped him off with no warning, said she needed to clear her head, disappeared until Sunday. No calls, no texts. I had to cancel work. I had to buy diapers. I had no idea what I was doing. My mom acted like it was normal, said I should be proud of stepping up, that it was what family does. I felt trapped. It was happening again. The cycle. Kayla creates chaos. Mom defends her. I clean it up. Only this time, there was a baby involved. And I could already feel the weight pressing down on me. I tried to talk to my mom, told her I was overwhelmed. She brushed it off, said it was just a phase, that Kayla was adjusting, that I was stronger, that the baby needed me. I started to see how dangerous this could get. I saw how fast a temporary favor becomes a permanent role. And I started to feel afraid. Because no one else was stepping in. Just me. Again. A few weeks later, it got worse. Kayla started vanishing for longer stretches. Not just overnight. Sometimes 2, 3, even 4 days without a word. No calls, no texts, just silence. And always, somehow, the baby would end up with me. Or with our mom. I would get a message late at night from my mother, saying she had plans and could not keep him, and could I please just take him for a day or 2. One morning I woke up to find her standing at my door with the baby already in a carrier. No warning, no explanation, just handed him over and said she was late for an appointment. I stood there in my robe, holding this tiny child who had not even been fed yet, wondering when exactly I lost control of my own life. That week I had to take time off work. I spent 3 days with the baby, exhausted, overwhelmed, crying in the shower because I did not know how to soothe him or what any of it meant. My apartment was not baby-proofed. I had no supplies. I was running on caffeine and guilt. I called my mom, told her I could not keep doing this, that this was not temporary, that I felt like they were setting me up to become the fallback parent. She said I was being dramatic, that family steps up when others fall short, that it was not a big deal, that I should feel honored. I almost screamed. I said I never agreed to raise this child. I said Kayla was the mother and needed to act like one. My mom went cold. She said sometimes people are not built to parent, and it is up to the stronger ones to carry the load. I asked her if that meant me. She said yes, that I was stable, that I had space, that the baby would be better off with me. I said no, over and over. No, not my child, not my responsibility, not my burden to carry. She hung up. The next day I found out Kayla was not in town, that she had driven out to another state to see a man she had met online, that she had told our mother she just needed a little vacation. I was shaking with rage. I told my mom this was unacceptable, that she had to be honest with Kayla, that enabling her was not love. My mom said I was cruel, that I was punishing Kayla for being lost, that I had no compassion, that I sounded like a stranger. I hung up. I spent the next few days trying to calm down, but I could feel something shifting. My boundaries had been crossed so many times they were starting to disappear, and no one seemed to care. Then came the final straw. Kayla was gone again. No one had heard from her in 3 days. I had work deadlines, personal stress, barely sleeping. And then my mom called, calmly, sweetly, and said she needed a favor. She asked if I could keep the baby for a week or so, just until Kayla figured things out. I asked where Kayla was. She said she was not sure, that she might be in a rehab center, or maybe staying with a friend, that she needed time. I asked what the plan was. My mom said there was no plan, that I just needed to trust that things would work out, that the baby needed stability, that he needed me, that I was the only one who could give him that. I said no, firmly, clearly. She started crying, said I was heartless, said I was abandoning my own blood, said I was just like my father, cold, distant, always ready to walk away when things got hard. I almost dropped the phone. I said she had no right, that I had spent my entire life cleaning up after her and Kayla, that I had been more of a mother to my sister than she ever was, that I had sacrificed enough, and now she wanted, my whole life she wanted me to raise a baby that was not mine, because she could not face what her daughter had become. I said I would not do it, that I was done, that if she left that baby at my door again, I would call child services. And I meant it. She went quiet, then said fine, do what you want, but do not come crying to me when you realize what you have lost. I hung up, I held my breath, I waited to feel guilt, but all I felt was air returning to my lungs for the first time in months. The next day I blocked both of them. I turned off my phone and slept for 12 hours straight. It was the first time in months that I woke up without dread in my chest. No crying baby, no last-minute panic. No guilt hanging over my head like a chain I could not shake. I cleaned my apartment. I made breakfast. I walked outside without checking my phone every 5 minutes. I felt free. It did not last. By the following week, the calls started coming in from other relatives. An aunt I had not spoken to in a year left me a voicemail saying she was praying for me. A cousin messaged me saying he heard I had walked out on a child who needed me. My grandmother sent an email. Long, rambling, saying blood was thicker than pride. I felt sick. My mother had gone to work spinning her version of the story, that I had abandoned Kayla, that I had refused to help with the baby, that I was bitter and jealous and cold. She told people the baby was dropped off just for a weekend, and I refused to give him back, that I threatened to call the state, that I traumatized everyone. She painted me as a villain, as a woman who chose freedom over family, and the worst part is, most people believed her, because she was always good at making things sound better than they were. She cried when she needed to. She played the victim. And Kayla? She disappeared again. Gone. Vanished. No one knew where she was. Her social media went silent. Her phone was off. Some said she was in rehab. Others said she ran away with another guy. No one really knew. And through it all, the baby stayed with my mother. For a while. Until he didn't. A few weeks after I cut contact, I heard through a mutual friend that my mom had been forced to give him up. That social services had stepped in after Kayla failed to return. That the baby had been placed in temporary care. That a man had shown up claiming to be the father and filed for custody. I felt cold when I heard it, not because I was surprised, but because I realized just how close I had come to being trapped in all of it. If I had said yes, if I had kept that child for just a little longer, I might have been the one they pinned everything on. I might have lost years of my life trying to fix something I never broke. But I said no, I walked away. And now I was the villain in a story I never agreed to be in. I tried to explain my side once. Just once. I wrote a long message to my aunt, told her everything. From the late-night drop-offs, to the manipulation, to the final phone call. She read it. Then replied with one sentence, "Families go through things." That was all. That was when I knew no one wanted the truth, they just wanted someone to blame. And I was easy to blame. I was the one who had boundaries, the one who said no, the one who refused to be quiet just to keep the peace. I thought that would make me strong. But mostly it just made me alone. I missed the baby. More than I expected. I missed the way he curled his fingers around mine when I fed him. The way he laughed at shadows on the wall. I missed his warmth, his weight, his innocence, but I did not miss the lies. I did not miss the panic. I did not miss being treated like a lifeboat for someone else's wreckage. I went back to work. I focused on myself. I started therapy. I stopped apologizing for having limits. And when people asked about my sister or my mom, I just said we were not close anymore. That was all. No drama. No explanation. Just space. Because I had given enough. And I was done bleeding for people who never stopped cutting. It has been almost a year since I last spoke to my mother. She has not called. I have not reached out. The silence used to feel sharp, like a punishment. Now it feels like a wall I built to survive. I hear things secondhand. Through cousins. Through social media. Kayla came back for a while, then left again. Someone said she is pregnant again. Someone else said she is living in a shelter. I do not know what is true anymore. And honestly, I do not want to. My mother still tells people I betrayed the family, that I abandoned a child, that I broke her heart. But I know the truth. I did not abandon anyone. I just refused to be used. I refused to raise a child that was not mine, because my sister could not stay clean, and my mother could not let go of the fantasy that love means sacrifice without end. I have love. So much love. But I will not bleed for people who refuse to stop cutting. I think about the baby sometimes. I wonder where he is. If he is okay. If the man who claimed him is really his father. If he is being hugged at night and told he matters. I hope so. I hope he is growing up in a home where no one is angry and tired all the time. Where he is wanted. Not handed off like a responsibility no one asked for. Sometimes I still feel guilt. Not because I think I was wrong, but because I was the only one who stepped up, even briefly, and then stepped back. That guilt is quieter now. I carry it like a scar, not a wound. A reminder that loving someone does not mean saving them, that loyalty does not mean servitude, that family can be a chain if you let it. I miss the version of my mother I thought I had, the one who I believed would protect me the way I always tried to protect Kayla. But she chose denial. She chose to keep enabling a grown woman instead of standing beside the daughter who had been holding them both up for years. And that hurts. But it is a clean hurt now. Not the kind that festers. I still go to therapy. I still catch myself apologizing for things that are not my fault. I still flinch when someone calls me selfish for putting myself first. But I am learning. I am healing. I am not a mother. And I do not have to become one just because my family cannot handle their own mess. I chose myself. And that should not feel radical. But in my family, it was. And I live with that choice every day. It is not easy. But it is honest. And I would rather live with painful truth than a life built on guilt and expectation. If you are reading this and you are where I was, Let me tell you something I wish someone had told me earlier. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to choose peace over chaos. You are not selfish. You are not cruel. You are just done being devoured. And sometimes survival looks like cutting the cord before it wraps around your throat. I am not the villain. I am not the savior. I am just the one who said enough. And if that makes me the bad guy in their version of the story, then so be it. At least I am finally living my own.
Thank you for staying with us to the end. Sometimes, doing the right thing for yourself feels like the worst thing for everyone else. But choosing peace over obligation? That's not selfish. That's survival. If this story resonated with you, leave a like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. What would you have done in her place? We read every single one. Until next time.